this is the overview of what I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to start with why lighting is important. Then I'm going to go into where to start, and I'm going to give some kind of general principles that kind of apply to all rooms and all zones. And then I'm going to go into specific areas and specific rooms and give you specific tips about those rooms that we found to be useful. And then a few money-saving tips at the end, and a time for questions. So why is lighting important? It's important. You're going to be spending thousands of pounds on kitchens, on furniture, on all these other things, and if your lighting's not right, those things are just going to be cheapened, and they're not going to be experienced to the extent that you want. So it's really important to get the lighting right from the beginning, and for you to be able to control exactly where you're putting your lights and how you want your lights to be in the final piece. But where to start? It's hard, it's overwhelming, and I'm going to give you two principles that kind of apply to lighting in general, that kind of apply to all areas. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is layering. This picture is quite a good one for explaining this. If you think about if you walk into a room, you're going to see the whole room together, and a badly lit room is going to be really flatly lit. So you're going to walk in, and it's going to be just usually lights overhead. It's going to be dim. There's going to be shadows. It's just not going to be an exciting, inviting place. What you want when you walk into a room is to be able to see the full picture and accentuated in the way that you want, but then you also want it to be fully functional for how you want to use the room. So the three different areas within layering that you want to think about within every room are the following. First one is ambient, so you're creating an atmosphere. So this is all the kind of indirect lighting. So it's going to be LED strip behind walls. It's going to be wall lights. It's going to be anything that's going to kind of have like an atmosphere. So it's not lighting that's going to be have any function, but it's going to be lighting that's going to just add warmth and depth to a room. The second one is accent lighting. So accent lighting is the things that you want to be showing off. So what features have you got in your house? What pictures have you got that you like? Is there a particular table or a corner or something in specifically that you want to be lighting up? They're the things that you want the light to draw attention to. And so, yeah, that's the accent side of things. And then the final part of layering is task lighting. So lighting for specific things that you're actually doing. This is something that's actually most people get wrong because they use task lighting too much, which is where you get really brightly lit kitchens with rows and rows of downlights. That you don't need downlights in the entire kitchen. You just need downlights where you're doing the work. You just need them on the surfaces where you need them. So yeah, so think about task lighting, think about how you're going to use the room, and think about where you're going to need a task light, and then have a pool of light there. Either a table lamp or a floor lamp, or use directional spots for that. The second kind of general principle is controlling. So this means that you can use a single room is going to be used for different things at different times. So you can see here this kitchen. When you're at the sink doing the washing up, chopping vegetables, all the rest of it, you want the lighting to be on the countertops and in areas that you are going to be using it. Whereas in the evening, when you're not doing any work, you've done all the dishes, you just want to sit with a glass of wine, you want more ambience, you want it to be a warmer space. So having controls and thinking about the controls early on means that you get to decide the different moods to set in your kitchen or in your entire home. A good way of being able to control the lighting and the levels and all the rest of it is dimming. It's an obvious, a lot of people have them now, but you have to mention it. It means that you can bring the lights up really bright if you can't find something, or dim them down really low when you need a bit more mood going on. Another good tip for controls is the use of 5 amps. These are they're used in hotels quite a lot, but essentially it's just a slightly different kind of plug. You can change the plugs on most table and floor lamps to fit a 5 amp. Essentially just looks a bit different, and then you have these in your wall. And then what that means is that you can control your floor lamps and your table lamps from the switch as you walk into the room. So you're not going around and switching off all the table lamps individually. So that's just another way that you can quickly create a mood. So these are just important questions in general to be thinking about for all rooms. What is it you want to be showing off? What features do you love? Are there particular architectural features, art pieces, trees outside? Think about what it is you want to be showing off. And then what do you not want to be showing off? What do you not want attention drawn to? Is there a neighbor with an ugly fence that you want to kind of divert attention from? Is there a low ceiling in a room? Just different things that you aren't a huge fan of that you want to kind of not highlight in a way. The most important one, how do you live in your house? So I kind of already mentioned this, but think about each room and how you're going to use the room and how it's going to be functional to you, the different ways you're going to use it. And then the fourth one is, what styles do I want? So have you seen pictures on Pinterest? Are there particular images that you like, things online, friends that you've seen? Just have a think about the general styles. And then think about the dimming system that you're going to use to make sure that all the lights you're buying are going to be compatible with that system. So now I'm just going to go in and give you some really good tips about some specific rooms. In an ideal world, you'll be able to spend all your money on all your rooms, but most of us don't have the budget for that, and so focusing on specific areas that you're actually going to be using most and that are the most important that are lit well is a good place to start. First one, of course, is the kitchen. So I've already mentioned kitchens, but one of the things, so the kind of most important thing to think about is task lighting. So think about the countertops where you're going to be using light. So where you're preparing food, the sink, and then over the island, you're going to want a couple of spots just to kind of make sure that the area's well lit. Think about ambience, so wall lights, pendant lights, LED strip, think about shelves, anything like that that you can use to kind of create a little bit more depth and ambience in the room. The third thing, which is a little bit more technical, is a high CRI. So CRI is a high CRI is the sun, essentially. So if you want to see a good the true color of something, if you're looking at a piece of material or something and you're not entirely sure what color it is, your instinct is to go to the window because you're going to want to see what color is this. Technology now has gone so far that we have incorporated that inside lamps as well, so it's mimicking a high CRI. This is great for food because it's going to bring out the true colors in the food and make food and wine and your table and the settings and the pictures and the colors that you've picked out for your settings to look great. So people might try and sell you high CRI in your entire house. You don't need them in your entire house. You just need them in specific areas where you're going to be showing good food. Second area is obviously the living room or the space in your house where you're going to be spending time to relax. The key here is ambient light, obviously, and there's a lot of different ways of achieving that. Think about the alcoves. You can light those in different ways. Shelving, painting, picture lights are always a really great warm way of having ambience around the house. If you want to go for something a little bit different, mix it up a bit. Putting lighting in corners, that makes the room feel really a lot bigger. So if you've got a small room, it's a good way of doing it. Don't be afraid, especially if you're in the early planning stages, of using lights inside the ground. They're a really great way of sort of bringing attention to features in a really different way. And technology now is great because there's no glare off them, so it's not like they're pointing in your face. They'll just be pointing to where you want them to go. The third room is the guest toilet. Now, obviously, all your guests are going to need the loo at some point, and it's a great room to make them feel warm, and I guess they spend a bit of time in there. So the kind of way to light this well would be to put in some indirect lighting, so a bit of LED strip. Again, you can use wall lights, you can use different things to kind of create an atmosphere. Put a pin spot just off the loo. So if you have it directly on top of the toilet, it hits the top of your head, and that's not where you need light. You need the light right in front so you can read. So if you put a tiny pin spot above the light, it just creates a nice pool of light where you need it. The final point is then having lights either side of the mirror. The reason for this is that that's the warmest way of creating light. So it's a nice warm light that hits people's faces, less shadows, and then your guests are going to feel good about themselves in their homes. And then the last kind of area I want to talk about is outside lighting. We live in Northern Ireland. It's dark. We spend a lot of time looking at our gardens. So it's good to have them looking good. Again, think about what are the features outside. What is it you want to be looking at? Maybe instead of using bollards all the way up your driveway or upliners up your driveway to make it look like a runway, instead of doing that, think about alternating between different things that are on your driveway. So lighting up plants instead of just having a light for light's sake is a great way of doing that. You can put little pin spots in the ground, or you can put them on the trees. Think about the different seasons. So is there a specific light that's going to be that's going to lose all its leafage in the winter time? That's not maybe such a good one to focus on, but maybe one that's got more of a warm glow all year round. So finally, I just want to give you some kind of general tips that might save you a bit of money and a bit of time. Wherever you can, use LED integrated. Now, a lot of light fittings come with, they come in two options. You can either get them with LED lamps included in them, or you can get them as retrofit, so you put bulbs in afterwards. If there are two options available, we would strongly recommend to go with the LED integrated wherever possible. The reason for this is that the LED chip in the light is built for that particular light, so it's designed to go in it, whereas if you're retrofitting a bulb into it, it's not designed to go together. The other reason is that LEDs don't like heat, and so if they're in a little bulb that you would get in Tesco or wherever, the driver and the chip and everything is compact inside that small place. So the LED is going to get really hot, and the longevity of that's going to be affected. So you're going to be changing the bulb all the time. Whereas if you invest in an LED integrated version, then you just put it in and you don't have to worry about it again, because it's designed with airflow and all the rest of it to keep it going for a long time. One type of light on one circuit. So this is for dimming and control reasons. If you've got 3 or 4 different types of lights on a single circuit, it just means that when you dim them down, they're going to dim at different times, and it's not going to achieve what you want it to. Consider installing a master switch. This is a switch that turns all the lights on at once, so you could maybe have a few of these in the house. They're really good for security reasons, so if you ever feel unsafe or you hear a noise or something, it's a good way of just lights on, and it acts as a deterrent. And then allow for access if something goes faulty. So drivers are going to be fitted into the ceilings and into different floorboards and things, so you need to make sure that there's access to them when just in case anything goes wrong. So make sure your electrician or whoever is taking that into consideration. And don't forget, we can help. We've got a team, like I said at the beginning, of experts, and any questions, any help you need, if it's sizing up a chandelier to figure out exactly how big it needs to be, if it's wondering how much light you need in a different area, any question is a welcomed question for us. So do send them on our way. Remember, it will increase the value of a house if you light it well, if you invest in creating this great picture of a home. Get thinking about lighting as soon as possible before your electrician does, so you then have a plan for him, and you can just give it to or her and give it to them, so that then you've thought about it beforehand. It will save you money, it will save you time, and you'll get the lighting and the house and the look that you want.